Hey folks, welcome back to Transplant Helper again today. My name is Jim Merle, but I guess after over 800 videos, you already knew that. But nonetheless, my name is Jim Merle, and I'm thankful that you are here today to do something extremely special, because today for me is a humongous day, in that today, May the 23rd, 2022, happens to be my 9-year heart transplant anniversary. Yeah, that's right. Count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9-year heart transplant anniversary is today, and you are here with me today, both commemorating my donor as well as celebrating the opportunity that I have had. And I just want to stop and say thank you so much to all of you, you included, who have been such a tremendous encouragement to me, a motivation to me. Those of you who have prayed, who have cheered me on through the years, that has meant so very much. And I had no idea when I started this channel back about 4.5, almost 5 years ago, what an impact that you would have on my life in a positive way, and what a gift you would be. So thank you to every one of you who are potentially watching this video. Thank you to you for taking the time to watch this. And I hope the things we say here in just a few moments will help to motivate you in your life in the best way possible. Now, if you've seen these videos in the past, I'm going to follow the same format I had before, and that is on the 9th anniversary, I'm going to give you 9 words, each of which describes specifically the years that I passed through, what each of those years meant to me, what they represented, and what I have learned from those years. And they'll be summarized in 9 words. And you may have some similar words in your life. I mean, really, you may think about things like I do, I guess. But these 9 years do represent something very special to me. And those words will help you to understand and me to communicate that with you in just a moment. But before we do that, I would be amiss if I did not take the time to say to my donor's family how thankful, how grateful I am for the wonderful gift of life and opportunities that I have been given because of them. My donor, Dickie, had to have been one of the most wonderful, kind, compassionate, caring men who has ever walked the face of the earth. He left this life at 50 years old, which most would say much too young or much too early, but I know God's plan was accomplished somehow in that. Who knows what that will turn out to be. But I'm so thankful that his life that he lived was such a wonderful inspiration, and I'm so thankful for the wonderful gift and the life that I continue to carry. And I hope that in some small way I'm honoring Dickie every day with what I'm able to do and what I'm able to accomplish. And so thank you so much to him, and then more specifically to his mother, Miss Louise, to Tracy, Denise, and Nancy. Thank you so very much. I love each of you dearly. I pray for you daily, and I'm so thankful for your willingness to give what you have. Let's celebrate a little bit. Let me tell you about what the last 9 years of my life have been like. Let me tell you how each of those years for me were accomplished, and what in hindsight I learned from each of those years in using these descriptive terms. Okay, so let's back up. 9 years ago, year number 1, I called that back then, and still consider it the same, as a year of intensity. Okay, when you're going through the transplant process, whether it's heart, lung, liver, kidney, pancreas, or whatever, that is a year of intensity. When your body has had a failure that's so catastrophic that there's no surviving this life without that transplant, once you get to that surgery, to that time, that's an intense time. And I can remember the concern, the anxiety, the pains. I can remember all the things back then that were, at the time, they were things I had never had to experience before, and honestly didn't want to experience even then. It was just a year of intensity, that first year. And I mean by that, the day of transplant, May the 23rd, all the way through the year to the next May the 23rd. that year right there was a year of intensity. It was a year when everything seemed to be on an accelerated pace, when everything seemed to be, just driving at me. And I had to meet some challenges back then that I didn't want to face. But I'm thankful that I did. I'm thankful that I met those challenges and that God helped me in meeting those challenges. And so I could meet them with some strength and some courage. And so year one was a year of intensity. Year two was a year for me of impatience, however. I say that transplant is a treatment, not a cure. I found that out for sure in year two, because that first year I just assumed maybe that I would just, have the surgery, have a bounce back period of 6, 8, 12 weeks like they had described, and then I'd be fine. But it was not that. I had to really keep pushing. Now, I met with some really great improvements at the end of year one, but during year two, there were still some impatient moments. There were still some moments and times, extended moments, where I just wanted to do more. I just wanted to do better. I just wanted to have more strength, more stamina, more ability. I didn't quite have that. And so it was a year of impatience. It was a year where I would go in to talk to my cardiologist and the rest of my team, and I would say, I've done this, and that, but I wish I could do that. And they would say, be patient. Just be patient, Jim. Be patient. Give this time. You'll get better. And I don't know if I even believed them back then. I'd gotten to a point where I was a little frustrated, a little bit down, a little bit depressed over it. And it was a year of impatience. And that's what year two is for a lot of people. A lot of people, even when they have the first year being a little better than average, it's that second year when a lot of those immunocompromising drug levels come down, their immune systems are allowed to come up, and then they start having responses to things. They start catching all the colds, all the flus, all the viruses, and they start having the aches and pains again. And year two was a year of impatience. And I have learned in the last... that was 2, 9, 8, 7 years, hopefully, to be a little bit more patient with my recovery and with the recovery of others as well. So that was year two. Year three was a year of improvement. Now, this was kind of the breakthrough year. This was the year, for me, year three was when I finally began to make those strides I wanted to make. Now, I'm not running marathons. I'm not swimming and cycling in triathlons. I'm not climbing any mountains, not even the local hills. But I'm doing what I want to do. I'm satisfied with the place I am, and I saw those improvements finally. Year two was a struggle. Year two was a time when I was kind of impatient. But year three, I said, here's some real improvements. Here's some proof that I'm going to make it. Here's some proof that I'm going to keep on keeping on in this. And so it was a big year, and I'm glad that year existed, because it's that year that I can always roll back to and say, well, look at the accomplishments that you made during that year. Can I repeat some of those? Can I improve upon some of those? Can I advance upon some of those? Yes. And I've tried to do that ever since. So year three was that. Year four was a year of inconceivable things. And I say that because it was year four, during the period of year four at least, when I started this channel. I had already done the previous kind of a channel idea, Your Daily Dose, where I gave, devotionals from a hospital room, health updates and such. I was somewhat used to this whole idea of having you sitting down, watching me. Hello, by the way, if you're there. But having you sitting down, watching me, talking with me, communicating with me, but nothing to the level that I was able to find during year four, because it was just inconceivable that I could sit down in front of a camera, be referred to as the transplant helper, attempt to advocate, educate, and motivate people like you, and that you would watch, and that you would give me feedback, and that you would be willing to become a part of this community. It was just inconceivable that anything like that was possible. But what a blessing this has been. What a blessing this has been these last, I guess if you count that out, 4 to 9, will be 5 years when you and I have been together, and we've seen this community grow. We've seen this community expand. We've seen this community become more involved. And I don't know if it's even a community anymore. I still call it the Transplant Helper community, but to me it's a Transplant Helper family. And we ought to just be hugging or something. We're brothers and sisters in this. We're just in this together, and that was a year of inconceivable things right there. Now, year five was a year of involvement. It was during year 5 that I determined within myself that I was going to go beyond the hospital room, beyond the YouTube videos, and that I was really going to do my best to impact organ donation awareness in itself. I started doing this series, My Story, My Words, which was where I interview you and you tell your story in your words. That's kind of what my means. It's like not my, but you're my. Anyway, I started that back then, and I really did. I saw some real growth right there in being more involved. I saw myself beginning to want to be more involved, because if it had not been for those who came before me, who made organ donation awareness a thing, who allowed families like Dickie's family and them to know that organ donation was possible, who educated and motivated people to have that as an option out there, I wouldn't have gotten my gift. I would have still been waiting, because people don't know what to do until they know what to do. And so I'm glad and thrilled to be involved in that. And year 5 was the year that I was able to become involved more, or at least when I put forth the effort to become involved more. So I've been told by people now, who suggest and say, well, I think I got my transplant because of you, because I had there's connections. People saw this video and saw that and never had considered. And I know I've got people in my life that I know personally who say, I'm an organ donor right now because of you. And so that was the involvement that I had. Now, year 6 was a year of intuition. This was the beginning stages of COVID-19 as we know it, okay? It wasn't called that then. My family and I had all been sick with kind of an upper respiratory type infection. Nobody was talking about COVID. This was back before. This was like in November maybe of 18 or something like that. But I kind of felt like something was coming. I didn't know what it was. I just had an intuition, for lack of better terms, that something was coming. And I actually sat down. When they started talking about COVID in the beginning, it was still, back on the other side of the world, kind of beginning to sweep this way. I sat down and made a few videos about that, kind of made some predictions about that, shared my intuition about the way things would go and what I could do or you could do as a transplant patient. I've gone back and watched some of those videos, and some of my ideas were a little crazy, but others, and the majority of that, back then, pretty good intuition. I have lived by what I chose to do then, and I've done very well, been successful in that. Yeah, I had COVID one time, but I bounced right out of it, lickety split. I've prayed for the families who did not have that type of success, but my intuition was right. But that's not the only thing that happened that year. It was during that year, year 6, when it was revealed to me that my aortic valve was gone completely defunct and faulty and needed to be replaced. And I had to make some real decisions then on what I would do, which path we would take, whether it be an open heart, whether it be the TAVR procedure, transcatheter aortic replacement. I can't say all that anymore, but transcatheter replacement. I had to make some decisions about that. Me and my doctor sat down and made that. And my intuition, again, along with my wife's, she's a lot smarter than I am, but those turned out to be right, and that surgery was a success, and I've done better now because of that, and I'm thankful for that year 6 of intuition. Year 7 was a year for me of improvisation, because COVID had hit by year 7. It was official. It was out there. We were on lockdown. A lot of people were struggling. People were losing their lives. They were losing their livelihoods. There was just a lot of pain and destruction in the world, and really I thought to myself, this is hard. This is a difficult time. This was 2020, and it was a hard year. My children were out of school. My wife was home from work. Things were just a lot different, and I had to improvise. I had to do things differently with my life and with their life. And I think everybody had to do something differently, and probably that they didn't want to do. They had to do some things that were uncomfortable, some things that were not familiar to them, and it was a year of improvisation. I just had to, I told everybody then, I still live by this almost. It's sad I'm at this place, but my wife would say, hey, let's talk about our calendar. I don't need to talk about our calendar. When I wake up in the morning, whatever I'm faced with, that's what I'll face. Whatever I have to deal with, that's what I'll do. I didn't care about tomorrow. I cared about getting through the day. And that was that year 7, a year of improvisation. Year 8, if I can let me get 8 fingers, that 8. Year 8 was a year of imperfection. And this is, again, COVID has had a year, and it's taken we've all taken a pounding, and COVID's gotten us. It's messed us up in a lot of ways. But that was a year when I thought, this will all be over. It wasn't. Still a year of imperfections. And it was during that year that I started having some more issues, more, rhythm issues, more this and that. And thankfully, the majority of those issues then came back to me, one, being 25 pounds overweight because of COVID and being on somewhat lockdown. I wasn't locked down so much here in the small town, but I wasn't getting out and about like I should. I wasn't doing what I should. I wasn't eating the way I should. But it was an imperfect year. Things were not perfect, but they were blessed. I was blessed by that year. That's basically what it was. And then, if I wanted to add to this, and let me go back through this list. I said year one was intensity, two was impatience, three was improvement, four was inconceivable things, five was involvement, six was intuition, seven was improvisation, eight was imperfection. Year nine, should I put a drum roll in here? Year nine for me has been a year of inspiration. I tell you what, I have seen some people accomplish some things in this year. People like you, fellow transplant recipients, who this year 2022, 2021/22, I guess the way that wraps around. But I've seen some people do some things this year that has inspired me, that has motivated me, that has excited me, that has made me know that this entire journey is worth it, okay? And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for people like Stephen Hood. Stephen is a great personal friend of mine. Stephen's actually written a book. His life story / transplant journey is amazing, the things he endured. I can't even go back and try to name it all, but I'll tell you things like cancer, things like if 5 or 4 tornadoes destroying his home. Oh man, things like heart failure, heart attacks, just everything. Stephen has endured. God's had his arms wrapped around him, and his story is so inspiring. Stephen Hood has inspired me. He calls me sometimes when I'm low, or I do the same to him, and we just keep each other up. So Stephen has been an inspiration. Ron Harbor's another. Ron had a heart transplant back several years ago. His kidneys never woke up. He struggled. He had, a lot of challenges, but Ron recently, just a few months ago, got that kidney transplant. And so with his heart transplant and his kidney transplant now working together like they're supposed to, Ron has done great. Ron, you have inspired me. You just motivated me to no end. Stephen Barker, he and I have talked on the phone several different times. I've kept in touch with his wife, Kathy. He's a great motivator. He's made some real strides in his recovery post-transplant. He's on a journey right now to become a transplant motivator / counselor / whatever. I don't know what we're going to call that over Stephen, but he's going to do a lot. He's already done a ton, and he's going to do a lot to assist other people who have had struggles, who have had difficulties in life, and he's got a story to tell, and he's been a motivation to me as well. Bailey Craig. Bailey has certainly met with her challenges with her lung transplant. She has come so far, Bailey. Every time I'm able to see you over on Facebook, or more importantly, see you in person, you just motivate me to no end to see the challenges that you faced headlong, the effort, the just the courage that you've had has inspired me so much. So Bailey Craig is another. Chuck Estrada. Chuck, what can you say about Chuck? Chuck has just gone through his second heart transplant. There are a few others I know personally that have done the same, but Chuck did it in a way I've never seen in my life. Chuck went through this, was it 8 days? I'm trying to remember. I did an entire interview with Chuck, and I'm slipping right now, but Chuck was in and out of the hospital in an unbelievable time frame. It's done so well, and Chuck's been a motivator. Boy, I could keep naming. I probably should keep naming, but they're just people upon people upon people who have stories that have gone out there. Some have beat those 20, 30-year marks as far as transplant. They've just done some things. You've done some things, I know, that have just motivated me. There are people that are always here, that are always support me. Nelson McAfee is another that's here in the YouTube comments. Tom Waller. Who else? Who else can we think about? Just Chuck? No, not Chuck. Just so many that are always there to support. and encourage, and I'm so thankful for that. So this year, year number 9, for me has been a year of inspiration because you have inspired me. You have motivated me to do my very best, and I'm so thankful for the lives that we're all able to live because of Transplant. So thank you so much for being here today. Again, both to commemorate my donor, Dickie, to give honor to he and his family, and also to celebrate with me these 9 years, each of those years having such meaning to me. And I'm looking forward. I'm already starting to consider maybe what year 10 will be like. Let's see what that's like next year. I need you to do me a favor, though. I need you to keep going. I need you back here next year to make it and make it big, okay? So you stick in there, you keep on keeping on, and certainly all of you stay stronger.